All right, I have a new Substack essay out. Just published it today. It is called On Chinese History and the Wuhan Virus. So I decided to dig in to this whole issue of the virus and its origins, where it came from, whether it was a lab leak from the Wuhan Institute of Virology in Wuhan, or whether it was an animal-to-human transmission from a market located 10 miles away from that lab, has been the issue. And so I went in and looked at this. Also read an excellent article in Vanity Fair that was published a few months ago. And even from a liberal publication like Vanity Fair, you still get this point of view where the evidence is mounting for a lab leak, not what tends to be what the U.S. federal policy favors, is that it was an animal-to-human transmission from the market. It's a little odd, though. First thing you got to say to yourself, isn't it a coincidence that this COVID-19 virus first appears at a market located a mere 10 miles from one of the 3 virology institutes in the world? The other 2 are in Galveston, Texas, and one in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Is deliberately manipulating coronaviruses in their laboratory for what's called gain-of-function research, where you deliberately genetically modify a coronavirus to make it more lethal and dangerous and virile, so that we can study it and find out how we could come up with immunities for it. So that's what this very dangerous form, and in my opinion, totally irresponsible form of research, these are things we shouldn't be meddling with. This is just, there are places where science should not be going. Because what has happened here, I think, with COVID-19, the coincidence that this place is located 10 miles away, where they're teaching dangerous viruses how to be even more dangerous in their pathogenic infection of human cells. One hell of a coincidence. That would be one hell of a coincidence. But then we've got Xi Jinping, or rather we should say Emperor Xi Jinping, as he has centralized more power to his authority. He is China's most authoritarian leader since Mao Zedong. No question about that. He is cracking down on big tech, he's censoring everything and anyone who criticizes the party or what he's doing. And there's been a huge crackdown on big tech industries, which I think is shooting China's economy in the foot. And indeed, China's economy has actually, for all its power, the second largest, most powerful economy in the world, is diminishing under his power with this authoritarianism. The Chinese, in a way, were able to do this under Deng Xiaoping back in 1978, when he opened China to free market capitalism and brought in imported manufacturers from other countries and created the huge sweatshop industry of manufacturing that sent the Chinese economy skyrocketing, where it peaked, I think, about 1990, and it has 1 or 2 peaks since then, but not under Xi. And so no, there's been a complete crackdown, and under this authoritarian regime, you're never going to get any admissions of guilt for anything whatsoever, let alone causing the world's first global pandemic. And isn't it ironic? I think one of the interesting things to note about this virus is that it's globe-shaped. It's the first global planetary pandemic, and yet it happens to be shaped like a globe. I think that's funny, because viruses come in all shapes and forms. It could have been in any form. So I find that rather amusing, as though there were some cosmic joke being played in all of this. So anyhow, so the essay then looks at the Wuhan virus, but as always, I put it in the historical context. I called Xi Jinping, who is the chairman of the PRC, the party. He's really an emperor, though, in the guise of a secular communist set of ideologies. But these old structures and emperor worship and having emperors has always been, forever, China's primary political modus operandi. It's never going to change. It's always going to be that way. And so these structures, which were always initially connected with religion, creep up through the thin crust of these secular atheist structures, which can only cover them over for so long before they start coming back. So there's no question that he's an emperor in the guise of a chairman. So then the essay then goes back and looks at Chinese history, which I spent a few years studying a long time ago. and looks at this back and forth flip-flop between opening the doors to innovations in China and then having a period of either welcoming foreign ideas such as Buddhism, for instance, which came in the 1st century AD, and then turning around, and then in the 9th century AD they have a fit of bad conscience and they exile Buddhism and burn all the temples. Or Qin Shi Huangdi, of course, the first to unify China as a universal state, burns all the books after we've had 3 centuries, from 600 BC to 220 BC, his period of the flourishing of Chinese thought, and then he burns it all. So there's this back and forth between innovation and freedom of ideas, and then the crunch back, the pullback, the reversal, this fit of bad conscience. And so the essay examines where this fit of bad conscience comes from. And I don't want to give it away because I want you to subscribe. It's only $5 a month. I've been putting out 2 or 3 articles a week, so you're getting a lot of ideas and commentary, and a certain kind of commentary that you're not going to find anywhere else, because I take current events, current issues, and unlike a journalist or a pundit or an op-ed commentator, I go back down and give a deep structural historical view, because the past matters. Things aren't the way they are today unless they were the way they were. And so you won't ever fully understand the way things are today. And journalists never get this. They always give you a shallow picture of what's going on. They never understand how the past is constantly shaping the present. But I get this and I understand it, and this is what you get in my essays and my blog on Substack. I'm not xenophobic, let me just say that, so we can avoid idiotic and ignorant comments from trolls or woke leftists. I'm not xenophobic and I'm not racist. I have studied and enjoyed Chinese culture and civilization for a very long time, and I find it one of the most fascinating civilizations in history. But indeed, they're all fascinating, which is why I've studied all of them and taken the time to do this. This is why you're getting this kind of analysis. I think I've got about 200 subscribers so far, and the target is 1,000. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers. So every little bit helps. Every $5 adds up and helps keep these essays going and allow me to have the time to work on them for you guys. And I also still do private astrology readings, so hit me up for that if you are interested. They're not free, so I'll give you price quotes if you email me at johndavidebert@gmail.com. All right, hope to see you on Substack. There will be plenty more essays coming. I'm planning more essays, one on taking a look at the history of the geological epochs of the Earth in relationship to the animal forms of each of those epochs. I did that in a poetry book of mine called Archive, but now I want to do it as a series. Actually, it'll probably be too long to do as one blog essay, but I want to do this as a series. At some point, that is one of the ideas, but there are plenty of other topics going on right now. The globe is brimming with problems right now, problems related to globalization, problems related to the Biden administration, which is a total disaster, one of the most incompetent administrations I've ever lived through in my entire 53 years of being alive. Just total incompetence. So there's plenty of things to comment on. So there'll be lots more essays to come. All right, hope to see you on Substack.